today we can talk about how you can explore those more, because I know some of you are probably thinking, I've seen them all before. They don't mean anything to me, but have you really looked close enough is the real question. Yeah,
because there can be landmarks that aren't there anymore.
Oh, for sure. Landmarks, of course, people, even if the landmark is there, things change so much. If you look at old pictures of Fredericksburg, some of these shops, they're almost unrecognizable except for the buildings around them. Hyperion's a great example because for years there was no awning there, and now it's you can't think of that corner without that beautiful awning. So lots of things change.
Or automobiles.
Yes.
That sometimes can give you a kind of a ballpark of when a picture was taken.
Oh my gosh. Automobiles is one of the greatest inventions, not just because it gets us to work quickly, but it makes my job easier. The amount of pictures of this building that without that car in the front would go completely undated is absolutely amazing.
So we all look at so many pictures and we don't have any idea who's in them. What do you suggest?
The first thing I suggest is do not throw those away, at least yet, because just because you don't know who they are does not mean it is useless. So I actually have some photographs here. These come from an album from former Mayor Ed Can. This was a series of 374 photographs, all identified. The only person who we really can identify is Ed Can. But as we're digitizing these, we actually removed these from their album, and because they were falling apart. So some of you might recognize that black paper that it's glued on. But we can take a look and we can look at the fashion. So this photograph doesn't have a date on it, but based on the hats the women are wearing, their collars, their shirts, this is in the 1920s. And so we can say, oh, they're sitting on a front porch. Well, maybe the house belongs to one of these people. And so we can go through and we can just get clues from each photograph. So we have one in a cemetery here. And even it's not just about identifying the location. You're looking at what are these people doing for fun? You know, what is their day-to-day? So if we really look at these photographs, we watch them go on vacation. They go up to Gettysburg. They take pictures leaning on a cannon the same way we would. So it's an interesting conversation just to compare then and now. So if you do have these photographs and if you want to throw them away, do not feel bad about that. We all have stuff that we want to downsize. Take pictures of them. Use your phone, just scan them, take pictures so they're somewhere, because you never know if you're going to have a family member and come and say, hey, remember that old box of photos? I think one of those people is cousin whoever. Do you have those? And you can say yes. So that would be my first recommendation, is get those digitized. And then if you do want to keep them, get them in a safe place. So some of you may be thinking, well, mine are safe in a plastic container. No, no, they are not. So a lot of plastic these days is made from PVC, and it off-gasses and it deteriorates, and there's all these chemical reactions going, and it's actually going to hurt the photographs. So if you really want to get fancy about it, you can buy acid-free boxes. Keep photographs, especially if they're older, and like these, you can kind of see as it turns, it's got that shine to it. Yeah. Keeping those out of light is going to prolong them. If you're handling them, as you can see, I don't have gloves on. Right before this, I went and I washed my hands. Clean, dry hands will keep them safe as well. And if you have a scrapbook, if you want to keep that scrapbook intact, do it. Go ahead, because all of these things have sentimental value to someone. And if you just take pictures of those pages, you can preserve it that way as well. So just because you don't have the physical photo anymore doesn't mean you're not doing something right. So when you're taking things out of photo albums, and as you can see, some of these came out beautifully, others not so much. The thing is, you don't want to pool. So don't grab a corner and just start pooling, because you're going to bend that photograph.
Yeah.
So you want to be as gentle as possible with them. Some will just lift right up. I use a handy dandy little spatula to kind of get under there. And so with this black construction paper, most will actually just nicely peel off because it's degrading. One super cool trick is you can get some unwaxed, unflavored floss. And if one of the corners is sticking up, you can actually get that floss under there, and you don't want to pull up, but you want to kind of saw it through, just slight back and forth movements, keeping it as flat as possible, and sometimes that'll get it right off. So this one in particular, it's because it's out of the album already, I couldn't get the floss all the way through, but I'll take some tweezers, I might work with it. But if you have to, cut as close to the edge as you can. It's okay if some of that black paper's still stuck on there. Getting it out of the album, as you can see, it's kind of wavy. You're helping with that because what's happening is the adhesive on the back is changing over time, and it's causing the photos to get a little wavy.
When you do come across these things, I would guess that when you have a chance, digitize it.
And we're very lucky that these are in pretty good condition. You can go through some of them. They're starting to fade. It's starting to get really difficult to identify who this is. And these have been put away for a long time. This is considered what's called ephemera. And ephemera are documents, photographs, pieces that were not necessarily made to last. This stuff doesn't last forever. So as you're digitizing them, take notes as well. Even if it's just man sits on what appears to be, I almost said a stone wall. That's not a stone wall. It looks like he's just sitting on the grass and there's some shadows. Because as these age and degrade, you're going to wish you had that information. Yeah.
Well, I guess the holidays are a good time to maybe pull this stuff out and talk about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Bring it out again, especially if you remember seeing these as a kid and you're older now. You're going to have a different perspective. You might understand things differently, and just get that conversation going. Even if you think you know the answer, just say, who is this? Tell me about this person. You never know what you're going to learn.
Somebody may have a story.
Yeah.
They remember that somebody told them.
And one of my favorite things is, especially with all these objects, everything was important to somebody at some point. So there's a reason these photographs were taken. And so those ones that you have at home, there's a good reason for them as well. So maybe see if you can discern what that is, even form some hypothesis. It could be a lot of fun just guessing, why are these two women laughing on a hammock?
Yeah.
What was the occasion? And just bring some life back to the photographs.
It's family history.
It is, and it's important, even the mundane. So we have a photograph. There's 5 or 6 of them. They all have a dog in them, and you watch the dog go to the river. He ends up in the river soaking wet. He comes out of the river in another one. He gets the owner wet, and it's just a lot of fun to just say, who were these people? What we can relate. You can always find ways to relate.
And preserving is just so important. Don't wait.
Yes, don't wait. And I hear a lot of people say, well, my stuff's not museum worthy. Everything is museum worthy because you are a part of Fredericksburg. You are a part of its history. Your family is as well. Even if you're not from here, everyone is important and all contributes to what we know as history. So try to learn those stories.
And you've got a project going on, isn't it, right now, where you can upload pictures?
Yes. So this is called the Fredericksburg History Archive, and it is a digital repository designed for the community. So a lot of times people will bring us photographs and they say, I would love for you all to have a copy of this event or this person, but I'm not ready to give this photograph up, which I completely understand. I will never try to convince you to hand that over. So what you could do is you can actually upload a photograph or a copy of a document, and you can provide some context to it. Even if you don't have any, you can just say date unknown, and that gets preserved in this archive for everyone to see. And so those can eventually, they may find their way into exhibits or social posts or just community things. And what you're doing, and even if it is just a photo of you sitting on a hammock or your grandmother in her new car, you're helping tell the story of Fredericksburg, and it is so, so important. So you can check that out at fxbghistoryarchive.org, and I'm guessing we'll be able to link it as well, where there's instructions. You can explore the different collections we have and just find how you want to help preserve history.